As of July 2025, the Su-75 Checkmate remains one of the most uncertain, stagnant, and arguably failed advanced aviation projects in the Russian defense industry. Despite being publicly unveiled with great fanfare in 2021 and positioned as a future backbone of low-cost fifth-generation airpower, the aircraft has not met any of its core technical or developmental milestones. With 4 years having passed since its official launch, the program has not delivered a single flyable prototype, has not entered flight testing, and shows no indication of approaching any form of serial production. It is now viewed by independent observers as a theoretical or symbolic project rather than a functional or deployable platform. The Su-75 was introduced as a single-engine stealth fighter intended to provide fifth-generation capabilities to foreign buyers who may not have access to more expensive or politically restricted Western aircraft. It was supposed to incorporate a number of advanced features, such as reduced radar cross-section through internal weapons bays and stealth shaping, multi-spectrum sensors, electronic warfare capabilities, supercruise, and modern cockpit systems. The initial rollout included promotional materials suggesting that it would be capable of serving in roles ranging from air dominance to precision strike, while offering simplified maintenance and affordability for countries with mid-sized defense budgets. Russia claimed that it would fly by 2023 and enter serial production by 2026. As of mid-2025, however, no such flight has occurred, and no production infrastructure has been built to support those ambitions. The aircraft remains a non-flying design concept with only mock-up airframes and showpiece displays created for exhibitions. The official statements over the years from Russia's United Aircraft Corporation (UAC) and the state defense conglomerate Rostec have shifted from promising specific development timelines to vague assurances that the project is ongoing or under internal review. Meanwhile, there is no physical evidence, open-source satellite imagery, or insider confirmations that any prototype has undergone live engine testing, structural shake tests, radar cross-section measurement, or pre-flight taxi trials. In any advanced fighter program, the transition from a prototype to a flight-ready aircraft involves a series of highly visible milestones. These typically include the completion of a flyable airframe, the installation of an operational propulsion system, ground-based systems integration, initial engine tests, software validation, static structural testing, and taxi runs. Each of these steps requires detailed engineering work, highly specialized personnel, and months, often years, of iterative verification and modification. The absence of these developments in the Su-75 program has led experts to conclude that the aircraft is not only delayed but fundamentally unready for real-world deployment or even basic flight testing. A critical technical bottleneck in the Su-75's development is the lack of an operational engine suitable for its mission profile. The design of the aircraft is based on a compact, stealthy, and maneuverable airframe requiring a modern engine with both high thrust and low infrared and radar signatures. Russian defense sources originally indicated that the engine under development for the Su-57, commonly referred to as Izdaliye-30, would also be used for the Su-75. However, this engine has not entered full-rate production and is still in the final phases of testing and refinement. Since engine-airframe integration affects almost every aspect of a fighter jet's performance, including balance, weight distribution, heat signature, and air intake efficiency, this delay in engine readiness has a cascading impact on the rest of the Su-75 development. Beyond technical issues, the program faces enormous industrial constraints. Russia's ability to produce next-generation military aviation platforms has been significantly degraded by multiple systemic problems, including an aging industrial base, a lack of advanced materials production, and the departure of skilled personnel. Key facilities like those in Komsomolsk-on-Amur and Irkutsk, which were expected to be involved in Su-75 production or testing, have not shown signs of large-scale upgrades, nor is there any evidence of tooling or jig development specific to the Su-75 design. Without an assembly line, supply chain, and trained personnel in place, it is impossible to begin producing any number of aircraft, let alone start a competitive export-driven program. The geopolitical environment has further complicated matters. Since early 2022, international sanctions imposed on Russia by multiple global actors have significantly reduced access to the kinds of specialized hardware and software necessary to build an advanced stealth aircraft. Components such as radar-absorbent materials, radar modules, digital processors, fire control systems, advanced composites, thermal management subsystems, and helmet-mounted displays are all either tightly controlled under export regulations or completely unavailable to Russian manufacturers due to sanctions. Efforts to develop domestic alternatives to replace imported Western or Asian components have not yielded substantial results, partly due to the complexity of these technologies and partly due to the long lead times required to bring them to usable maturity. In parallel, the financial structure of the Su-75 program has been fragile from the start. From its inception, the aircraft was pitched not only as an operational solution but also as a business venture, a project whose development and long-term viability would be underwritten in part by international buyers. The concept was that countries in need of a modern stealth fighter would either place early orders, provide co-funding for development, or eventually buy the aircraft in sufficient numbers to make the project profitable. However, no such funding or procurement deals have materialized. All previously rumored buyers have either denied involvement, requested delays, or chosen to wait for proof of progress before making any commitments. No foreign military has signed a binding contract, initiated licensing talks, or allocated procurement budgets for the aircraft. Attempts to revive interest through announcements of new partnerships have also failed to change the project's trajectory. In early 2025, reports emerged suggesting that Russia and Belarus were exploring the possibility of co-developing or co-producing the Su-75. However, this proposal appears to lack any technical, financial, or logistical foundation. Belarus, with a relatively small defense manufacturing base, does not possess the expertise or infrastructure to meaningfully contribute to the development of a stealth-capable next-generation jet. Observers believe that this announcement was primarily political in nature, intended to generate headlines and suggest progress where none exists. As of mid-2025, no actual co-production agreements, joint ventures, or facility upgrades have occurred in support of that arrangement. The Su-75's lack of verifiable development also raises broader questions about transparency and accountability in Russian defense acquisition programs. In contrast to other major aircraft development projects around the world, which regularly release videos of flight trials, progress reports, and system demonstrations, the Su-75 has remained largely invisible to technical media and defense observers. Since its initial marketing campaign, independent aerospace experts have noted that, in a highly competitive global environment, withholding technical information can be interpreted as a sign that the project is not moving forward. The lack of transparency, combined with the absence of test data or industrial activity, has led to a growing consensus that the Su-75 may be little more than a concept that never progressed beyond the drawing board. In practical terms, the Su-75 now serves more as a symbol of unrealized ambition than as a credible military capability. It was initially introduced with bold claims and aggressive marketing but has produced none of the tangible indicators of success that are expected from a serious aircraft program. No aircraft has been seen flying. No engines have been integrated. No production lines have been activated. No countries have placed orders. No demonstrations of combat systems or avionics have occurred. The project exists almost entirely in press releases, computer-generated images, and trade show displays, without having translated into a usable or flyable product. Based on the evidence available in 2025, the Su-75 program remains in a state of indefinite delay. With no prototype, no confirmed developmental milestones, no visible investment in manufacturing infrastructure, and no reliable engine ready for integration, the project lacks the basic building blocks required for execution. The absence of international funding, combined with technological isolation and an uncertain industrial capacity, only reinforces the perception that the Su-75 Checkmate has moved from delayed status to a non-viable or failed defense project. Its future remains dependent on conditions, technical, economic, and geopolitical, that currently show no signs of reversing.